All righty. Hey, Dodger fans, welcome to the show from the Inside Sports Studio. This is the Inside Sports production of Dodger Dogs, where we talk about Major League Baseball with a special focus on our hometown Los Angeles Dodgers. Been a little bit of a rocky ride lately, so I do need to get one of my homeboys to help me through this. Now, everybody who's seen this show a few times, you know how we roll here. I don't do it by myself. Of course, Inside Sports is changing the world one sport at a time. Today the sport is baseball, but I got to have my main man here, none other than Mike Gabriel, MikedUpRadio.com. Some of you follow him on Twitter at MikedUpRadio.com, and he is a longtime Dodger fan, a baseball expert, and oh, has he had a rocky road this past week. We talked about the resurrection of the Dodgers. They were turning things around, and then I can't explain it. Mr. Gabriel, what's happening, man?
What a rocky road it is, right? That's just kind of the way, you're a Dodger fan. You're born to be a Dodger fan. So, at the end of the day, they're going to break your heart. So they're kind of doing it that way now. It's what are we, in late August, and the Dodgers are kind of doing their part. The front office, as we talked about early on a few shows ago, the front office went out and did their thing. They went and got Shane Victorino. They went and did the Hanley Ramirez thing. And the product on the field, all of a sudden, and Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier, two guys that the Dodger team must rely on. They have fell asleep. They have gone away. They're on a different planet at the worst possible time of the year. And you talk about a series that is in Los Angeles against the hated ones, against the San Francisco Giants, a time to go away, a time to not be around, a time where you're somewhere else other than Dodger Stadium. It's absolutely the most pathetic thing I have ever seen. I've used pathetic, that word pathetic, many times on this show. But my goodness, I can't describe to you how bad this is. At worst case scenario, Charles, worst case scenario in a 3-game series, you are up 1/2 game in your division. At worst case, all you really have to do is win 1 game out of 3. And what do? They get swept. That last game last night was humongous. It was, in my eyes, it was a must-win. I hate using that term with 35, 36 games left, but you have to win that game because it's a 2-game switch. You lose the game, you're down 2.5 games. You win the game, you're down half a game. It's a humongous difference, a substantial difference. And they went and they got swept at home after a 7-3 trip. They looked so good. Everybody was happy. Dodger fans were rejoiced. They came back half the game up. And they look horrible. Well, there's no other way to put it.
Here's the other thing: is we talked about last week. The last show we did was Melky Cabrera getting the 50-game suspension, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later because some stuff is going on up in the Bay Area yet again as far as steroids go. But he gets that suspension, so you think that there's going to be a little bit of a dip at least for the Giants. And, what happens? They won 5 of 7, including that 3-game sweep of the Dodgers.
Road teams. Dodgers better on the road. San Francisco better on the road. Dodgers went up to San Francisco, as we all know. They went up, Dodgers, and swept them in San Francisco. Dodgers come home, Giants sweep them in L.A. It's totally, though. I mean, Melky Cabrera. Joe Blanton didn't look good a couple nights ago, but at the same time, when you don't have run support and you have to consistently put up zeros every single inning, it's not easy as a pitcher.
Exactly.
It's not easy when you're a pitcher for the Dodgers and they can't give you any run support whatsoever. Clayton Kershaw was an absolute wasted start the other night. He pitched an absolute gem, as he usually does, and he gets 1 run of support. A late home run by Hanley Ramirez, a solo shot with nobody on the 9th inning with 2 outs. You can't waste those starts, Charles. You cannot waste those starts this late in the year when you are in a pennant race. You just can't. Yeah. And, it's hard for me to describe. It's hard for me to sit and break this thing down and tell you why it's happening. Because how do you just fall asleep and go away in a time like this? How has Matt Kemp won for his last 25 late in August? You know, that's just something I just don't get. And when you're swinging the ball 4 consistently in the dirt in a 58-foot pitch, you know, you have issues. And what you really want to do, and when you're slumping, is worst case scenario, get on base. Whatever it takes to get on base. And you got to take ball 4 and get on base and create something. And he's done the absolute opposite of that. And then the other thing with Andre Ethier, you know, the guy comes up with a blister on his right hand. I play a little bit of baseball, and I wear batting gloves, and I've never had a blister on any of my hands. If I wasn't wearing batting gloves, I probably would have blisters. He wears batting gloves. I'm not sure how you have any blisters on your hand. I don't know what he does at home. I'm not sure how kinky his sex life is, but my goodness, I'm not sure how you come up with a blister on your right hand. And by the way, he is a lefty. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. We're talking here, and the show is Dodger Dogs. So the question is, are they my Dodgers? Are they your Dodgers? Really, I think this is a good segue. It's our Dodgers.
Yes, sir.
So.
Absolutely. You know, I'm very excited about this. You can bring him in. He's a great guy, and it's our first guest of the show. And go ahead, Charles. Bring him in. He's a great guy.
There we go. From OurDodgers.com, the biggest Dodger fan you'll ever find living in the state of Texas, none other than Chuck Powers, who has an interesting story as to how he made this roundabout becoming Dodger fan. Chuck, you there?
I am here.
All right. So everybody wants to know, a Dodger fan living in Austin, Texas, how in the world did that happen?
Okay, I want to tell you that story, but I have to tell you how demoralized I am right now. Listening to you guys intro to this point, okay, we suck. The Dodgers suck. I'm really, really overwhelmed with emotion right now because I was going through my day and I was all good. And now listening to you guys describe the Giant series, I'm like, I'm in this depth of muck here. And I'm just not sure where to go with this. So now you want me to turn the corner and be Mr. Positive here about I love the Dodgers. Well, I'm a little kicked off right now.
Well, you know what? Let's just talk about this, though. But with the Dodgers, here's the puzzling thing, is it's one thing when you just don't have the personnel, like if you're the Kansas City Royals or something. But the Dodgers, it seems like they have the pieces, but they just can't put together any real consistency.
You know, I think they do have some pieces, but like Mike alluded to, you can't have Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier disappearing in August.
Right.
It just can't happen. I mean, we've got a lot of nice pieces, and we bring them in here, and we say we have some really positive things going. But then your two big guys, they fluff on you. You know, and I think that's the whole story.
And a lot of that, Chuck, you're right. I mean, a lot of that is where would this team be without Hanley Ramirez acquisition? I mean, the guy has really put these guys on their backs. Where are they? I mean, they're probably 5-6 games out of first place. Forget about 2.5. This guy has been he's drove in 26 runs so far for this club. Without those 26 runs, I'm not sure where these guys are at. So, my goodness, I mean, take that away from them and figure out where this team would be.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Hanley's been crazy good, better than any of us could have hoped for. And so the results have just been disappointing, especially when we come home. Like, my gosh, win some games at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Anyway,
go for it. Tell us about why you're a Dodger fan all the way in Austin, Texas.
Okay, now this is a long, complicated story, but you got to bear with me a little bit. I lived in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, for 22 years. If most of you who know baseball know that predates the Diamondbacks. So the Los Angeles Dodgers were our home team in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, when 1977, 1978, somewhere in there, my grandmother was a huge Dodger fan. She loved Ron Cey. As Ron Cey went, that's where my grandmother went. So she got me listening to the Dodgers, and to be honest, I heard Vin Scully first on the radio, and hey, he sold me. He sold me on something more than that was baseball, more than a team. But how he paints a picture, and I got sucked into that picture, and I'm a fanatic fan since then.
There you go. There you go. All right.
Awesome. And there's so many stories. There's so many stories like that. Vin Scully, he's absolutely the true artist. It's so hard. Forget about broadcasting a baseball game. Just broadcasting in general is such a difficult thing to do. And you got to be an artist. You got to paint a picture. And Vin Scully has done that for so many. I mean, he's the face. Talk about the face of the Dodgers. Vin Scully's the face of the Dodgers, and he has been for many decades. And he's brought in so many families together in the summertime. It's the summer voice is Vin Scully. So that's an awesome story. That's Vin Scully to a T right there.
He is. He's the only person on radio that I've ever listened to that I felt like I could smell the grass he's describing.
Right.
He's incredible.
That's so true.
That's awesome. It. Vin Scully and a few of the other broadcasters. That's why listening to the old school guys is so great, because they were around before the days of when TV was really, where there were really games broadcast on TV. So they got used to, as they say, painting that bird's eye view, so they could create. That's really kind of a lost art these days too, when you see some of the younger broadcasters who come up with the support of television.
Totally agree.
Yeah, a lot of them are just screaming and yelling, home run. It's like, Vin Scully, why he is so great is he doesn't put himself in situations where he has to be the big guy. He has to take over the actual situation that actually happened. A big home run, he does? He stays quiet. He wants the people on TV to listen to the crowd like you are there. You're witnessing this game. It's not about me. It's about what just happened. So he is to a T. To me, he's perfection. I mean, there's nothing better than Vin Scully. Talking about Vin Scully and the love that you have for him, and not only him, but of course the Dodgers. Tell us about your website, Chuck. You put a message board type website called OurDodgers.com. Tell us a little bit about it.
How many times do I get to pimp the word OurDodgers.com? Am I limited?
Hey, I've got a panel up for you right now too.
OurDodgers.com started in 2008, and we were basically a group of Dodger fans who wanted to discuss our passion for the Dodgers without a lot of the other complications that come with the internet. I guess that's kind of a nice way to say there's some people who are less concerned with talking about the Dodgers and more concerned with stirring up trouble. So really, that's how Our Dodgers was born, and it's worked out pretty well. When you go to OurDodgers.com, there's not going to be a lot of unfamily-friendly language, and there's not going to be a lot of personally attacking of other people about their opinions or whatever. And it's just good, fun banter.
Yeah, I'm actually a member of the site as well, and I could confirm that. It's actually a really easy-using website as well. I mean, a child to a 90-year-old grown, mature man would be able to go on the site and use it, and it's very, very, very friendly, website friendly. So it's awesome. I go on there at least once a week. I'm on there and checking out the stuff. There's a lot of good inside stuff on there, a lot of good posters, just good fun. I enjoy it very much. And Charles, you're going to be next, by the way. You're going to sign up and be a member on that site as well.
Oh, definitely. Well, I figure this show, there should be a link to this show on the site. I mean, this particular show.
Absolutely. We'll make that happen.
Coming soon. Howard? Oh, yeah, coming soon. I also wanted to throw in that we have members from Australia, from Europe, and a couple of Asian countries, some contributing members. So we are kind of out there. We get a lot of interest from different places.
All right, there you go.
The beauty of the internet. I love it.
Exactly.
All right, well, you know what? Let's talk some. We would talk about the Dodgers, the roller coaster ride that it is to be a Dodger fan, but something else. just regular baseball related. We know that Melky Cabrera gets suspended last week, 50 games for a banned substance. Now Bartolo Colon up there in Oakland, he gets suspended for 50 games. Is Balco out of business, or are strange things happening up there in the Bay Area still?
They're doing really well. They're thriving in this horrible economy, man. They're based out there in the Bay Area. They get two now Bay Area guys, and Bartolo Colon, whose body, I'm not sure that physique of Bartolo Colon, I have no idea how that dude is on steroids, because you've seen the guy's physique, and the guy looks like a donut, and I'm not sure any donut would be on steroids. But the other guy, Melky Cabrera, not, the greatest physique either, but, look, I've been on something that's close to it. I was taking medications, and I swear to you guys that I was actually working out as I took this stuff, and I was ready to run through a brick wall for anything. And when people say, yeah, but steroids, you still got to see the ball, you still got to hit the ball, I am telling you that you feel like you are Superman. You can do possibly anything you possibly want. You can do anything you want when you're. And it was a form of steroids. It wasn't exactly what they were taking, but you have that mindset of, I can do anything I want. Plus, now the ball is going to travel at least another 15, 20 feet. So the balls you're hitting into the warning track are now gone. So you're a different player. Your mentality is completely different. Your confidence is way up. Speaking of Balco, Charles, this guy's doing just well. I told you last week, I'd say 25-30% of players on it. There might be more than that. And if it's guys like Bartolo Colon, who you think no chance, a guy who looks like that's on steroids, man, it's scary, because I wouldn't think Bartolo's on steroids, but it's a guy who wants to revive his career. So it's his way of saying, hey, let me try to get a big contract here. I'll get off of it when I get my big contract. But he got caught before he got his big contract. He's 5-0 with a 1.62 ERA in his last 5 starts. So it's done pretty well for him. But, we spoke about this last week, about how certain type of players, like, let's take Vogelsong for an example, a San Francisco Giants pitcher, a guy who's been all over the place. He's been in Japan. He's been with the Pirates. He's been in the minor league system. He's never made it to the major league level as, the way he's pitching now in his career. I think it's guys like that who, I'm not accusing him of being on steroids, but taking him as a general example, is guys like that where they're saying, man, I'm 33, 34 years old. I've never made it to a big league club. I was never successful in the major league level. Let me just take this chance. If they catch me, they catch me. I got nothing to lose. Let me get my big contract and get off of this thing. I get guaranteed money, 20, 30, 40, $50 million, and I go someplace else. And that's what Melky's mindset was, in my opinion, was, let me get this big fat contract, let me get out of the way, I'll get off of these things, I'll become my 270, 280 hitter again. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Chuck, you want to weigh in on that?
I'm sorry. I'm getting a text message that is a little embarrassing. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that's been said. It's such a big problem, and in the situation of the Giants, it's 50 games for the player enough, because the Giants were actually advantaged throughout the season. Without Cabrera, where are the Giants at right now?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, they brought in Pence to replace him, a couple players to bolster their offense. Where are they without him? They're probably in the rears of us by some number of games.
You would
absolutely,
think.
But forget about the Balco Melky Cabrera. We want to know what that text message was.
It's from my wife. I don't want to know what it is yet.
Oh boy,
I'm probably in trouble.
Charles, go ahead. You were saying something.
Oh no, I was going to say that. Well, you look at the Giants though, and I think they've gone 5-2 since Cabrera's gone out. Now I know that's a short time, and maybe it's that little bit of energy that teams sometimes get when there's some type of controversy, and everybody feels like they have to pull together and play a little bit harder without Melky Cabrera. So, yeah, I don't know.
It's true. You're accurate. There's no doubt. And if you look at the interviews at the end of that game when Melky Cabrera got caught, I'm not saying he got caught in the middle of the game, but they interviewed guys after that game. They didn't want to talk about him. Buster Posey said he made the wrong decision. I don't want to talk about it, which means they want him. I mean, they are pissed off at Melky Cabrera, how selfish of a move he made, because it's going to cost his team at the end of the day. But you look at this thing. Bruce Bochy has done the most amazing job as a manager I've seen in a very, very long time. I'm talking not only this year, not the last year, the previous year to that when they won a World Series. You know how many injuries this team had, and they were just so resilient. And a lot of that has to do with the manager and the job Bruce has done with this club. So you can never count out this club because they have already gone through so much injury-wise, and you've got to be resilient with all those injuries. Look, the entire year, Brian Wilson has been out there. There's all-star closer. Where are they if he's playing? If he's closing games out, it's a different story. They've blown a lot of saves this year. That bullpen hasn't been the best. So they've gone through a lot. They've gone through enough. They know what it's like to be resilient, and it's another time. It's another hurdle for Bruce Bochy, the front office players, to get through another devastating hurdle. And, I wouldn't, unfortunately, being a Dodger fan, I wouldn't count them out because of it.
I'll say this. If anyone has any doubts as to how great a manager Bruce Bochy is, remember, he took the Padres to the World Series. So let's not forget that.
Not easy to do, and he's got the biggest head in the business too. So be careful.
All right, well let's go ahead and move on here. So Dodgers, here's what I want you to do. We're gonna go around here. We look at the personnel on the field, and we look at what the Giants are doing since Melky Cabrera got tossed, versus what the Dodgers are doing right now. So a lot of that is just about attitude. It would seem just team attitude when you go out there. And, we talk about Matt Kemp, all the great players that they have, just not coming through at the big moments. So we kind of touched on this a couple of weeks ago, too. Where does that come from? It's not something you can bottle and sell, obviously, but I'm going to give each of you a chance here. Chuck, the GM calls you. He flies you in from Austin. He feeds you steak and lobster, and he says, I want you to fix this team. Tell me what's wrong here.
Man, if I knew that, I would be a millionaire. All you can do as a GM, I think, is bring in the talent on the field to compete and hopefully mesh the personalities and such the best you can. I'm always been kind of a believer that a big chunk of this game is the players on the field. I don't do too much blaming of managers or general managers. You just got to step up and get it done. Man, I can't explain why we're not getting it done. Why Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier disappear in late August. I can't explain that. It's just, as a fan, that's what goes back to what you were saying before, where it's just a roller coaster ride, seems year in and year out these days.
Well, isn't it more about when you talk about not blaming managers, and we touched on what kind of type of job is being done in the dugout there with Mattingly, and things still seem to be okay, but I think at the big league level, it's less about teaching and really more about motivating in all the sports, because the players are so talented that you've already got up there. So something's going on there.
Could be. It could be. I think a lot of that is, you look back at the old regime when Joe Torre was around with a couple of his bench coaches, and Matt Kemp had the worst year of his career. I mean, some of that could possibly be, of course, Rihanna being by his side too and being all Hollywood on us. But a lot of that was he just didn't get along with that old school type mentality. And Don Mattingly brings more of the I'm your buddy type manager, and Kemp can get along with that more. Sure, absolutely. I think coaching and managing does a lot. I think more of that is because of the young players. Look at Jeff Kent when he was around. He didn't get along with these young guys because they weren't old school. These were guys who just walked in and thought they owned the world, and they spoiled athletes, if you will. So I think a lot of that is important. There's no doubt about it. To explain this club and what I would do if I was a GM, I think Ned Clay has done a fantastic job. I think everything that he's done, I've somewhat agreed with. I would say 90% of what he's done, I agree with the players he's got on the field now. To make a deal happen with a guy like Hanley Ramirez, who was down in his career, he comes now to L.A. and he revived his career. I mean, that's a trade it's a no-brainer, and he did that. The other one, you have holes on this team, there's no doubt, but you have enough talent to win. You have plenty of talent to win. So, what he's done, I wouldn't change. If there's something you could possibly do, is be at first base. And I think we can probably get into that a little bit with Adrian Gonzalez now being put on waivers with the Red Sox. And if it gets down to the Dodgers, there's no doubt about it in my mind that they will claim him on the waiver wire. It's a matter of still putting a deal together. He's owed $124 million over the next 6 years. It's salary that the Dodgers can take on, and it's a position that the Dodgers have a huge hole in with a platoon of Juan Rivera and James Loney. If you look at what's out there in the offseason, there's nothing. Joey Votto is signed long-term. Prince Fielder is signed long-term. Adrian Gonzalez obviously is signed long-term. Mark Teixeira is signed long-term. So every first base all-star guy that you can put at first base is gone. And Adrian Gonzalez, in my eyes, is available. I think the Boston Red Sox, would like to get rid of that contract. I think it's more plausible to happen in the offseason rather than in August. But I do think that if the Dodgers get down to claiming him, they will. It's just a matter of putting a deal together. And if the Dodgers do that, I mean, they're stacked. They got another guy in their lineup, power hitting first baseman, all-star, Gold Glove. I mean, everything you want and need from a first baseman. But it's time will tell, and we'll see what happens. We'll find out for sure at the end of the month.
There we go. All right, so you know what? Time is kind of winding down here, so we're just going to kind of have to put a ribbon and a bow on everything here in just a minute or two. But, we talk about, the things that I do, what you guys do, and the marvels of the Internet. Here we are. I'm in Orange County. We got one guy in L.A. County, another guy in Texas, and through the miracle of Ustream and Google Voice, we're all doing this and not paying a whole crap load of money for it. It's fantastic.
Technology,
ain't it great?
All right, so you know what, Chuck? Let's go ahead and ourdodgers.com. That's your site. I'm going to go there. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to become an active member of your Our Dodgers community because that's how I roll. So any final words there you have for everyone? All the Dodger fans out there? Talk them off the ledge or something?
I'm sorry I missed that last part, but welcome aboard. Love to have you at ourdodgers.com. I think the more people that come in with intelligent discussion, it's just the better it is for everybody. And we're all there for fun, and that's kind of the bottom line. So the more the merrier, and welcome.
All right, fantastic. And then Mr. Gabriel, mikedupradio.com, at mikedupradio.com also. Do you have some final words here?
Yeah, it feels like we're setting a pattern every week. So next week I'll come in a lot happier. It'll probably be a half a game out, and then the weekend after that, or the week after that, I'll be pissed off again because there'll be 2 games out, and then the week after that it'll be the same way. It's baseball. It's the inconsistency of the Dodgers. It's basically a 500 team now. You're not sure what you're getting. So I have no idea. As I say, after every week of closing this show, I have no idea what to expect from this club anymore. They're just sickening, inconsistent, and it's very frustrating. But to take out all of your anger and to feel better about yourself, and I'm not just saying this because he's my buddy and I love his website, ourdodgers.com can do that for you. You can go on there and put out a post, and you can talk about how awful the Dodgers are and who you want to be sent down and blah, 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 and then you can have people reply to you, and then you can have a nice, cool conversation, and it's a good time. So, I love the site. The guy is cool who's running it, and my goodness, he's from Texas. I do not like guys from Texas.
Hey, well, you know what? I would have to say that being a Dodger fan, you must feel a little bit like what a schizophrenic feels like when they go off their meds, right? It's like sometimes you're walking around just happy, and other times you just ain't so happy.
That's not bad. That's not a bad analogy there, for sure.
All right, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So let me first thank Chuck Powers of ourdodgers.com. Everybody go there and check it out. And, of course, Mike Gabriel of mikedupradio.com, and follow him on Twitter at mikedupradio.com. Yours truly, Inside Sports. You can follow me on Twitter at The Inside Sports. Website is officialinsidesports.com. So for Chuck Powers and for Mike Gabriel, this is Charles E. Smith Jr. This has been Dodger Dogs, and we will see everybody next week. Thanks for joining us.